And welcome back, everyone, to This is Dundermoose. What, Dundermoose? We just watched your sorry face last night on Rolling Bones with Ryan, and now you're on the camera again. Yeah, but this one's just chill. I got DM Blackwall, I got Patio Cakes, and we're just going to just hang out and be bros and paint some minis. RealGreyMage may be joining us. Probably not. He's still pretty far out. But I said, if you get home while we're still rolling, feel free to jump in. So let's start off by sharing what we're going to be painting. And Paddy, looks like you got your camera all set up. You want to go first?
Oh, yeah. So I recently picked up Portland Occupied Zone by Credforge Games. It's a half RPG, half war game. Board game where you get to play out the fantasy of being the next Zing or Zween of Portland. Here, I'll show off the box here. Let me see. Here we go. Oh, so if you don't mind me whoring out my own stuff, I'm an affiliate through this, and if you go to credforge.com and pick it up yourself, Portland Occupied Zone, and use code PPG, you get to help me out quite a bit, actually. And William Dalebout's a really solid guy. So I'm trying to get these painted up. That way we can have a play it painted. And tonight I'll be working on Yeth. He's this fancy lad here who is a hopeful dictator of Portland Occupied Zone.
Right on, man. Okay, and then while we're going, go ahead and throw that link in the chat so the viewers can take advantage of that deal. That's awesome.
Thanks.
All righty, so we'll kick it over to Blackwall. What are you going to be painting tonight? While you're doing that, I'm going to try and figure out if I can use my other camera or not.
Yeah, so this is a miniature from 2004 that Wizards of the Coast made. I've got 3 of them I'm going to repaint. It's called the Warrior Skeleton.
2004.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
I had one that we got in like a bulk purchase or something. Because Nate and I, when we can, will buy bulk miniatures and then turn around and sell whichever ones we don't want when we go to conventions to help offset the cost of the booth. And then I traded for 2 more last weekend when I was hanging out with some of the guys from Big Geek Emporium. And so we thought, I figured I might as well repaint them and get them into a usable state. Can't have too many skeletons to play some Horde Wars.
That's right on. They don't call it small unit wars, right?
Exactly.
Dender, It's not letting me post the link, but I totally get it.
I'm gonna post mine in private chat and then have Dunder repost because I don't have access to the comments.
Do it. I don't know why it's doing that, but let me copy the links. I think it'll let me do it since I'm the host. If not, it's just because I'm too small of a channel. Maybe I got to get monetized before I could post links. Hopefully, you guys can let me know if that's clickable. So the first one is Horde Wars. The second one is shopcrudforge.com. And Patty, did you say that there was a link for them, or there was a code for them to enter?
Yeah, the code is PPG for Paddy's Parlor Games, all caps, and I think it gives you like a 15 or 20% discount.
You should type that in for the.
I got you covered.
Yeah,
PPG is the code for a discount.
I am the PPG.
If you guys just want to create your favorite moments from the pandemic.
Right? Yeah, he's got some funny games on there. He's got one card game that it works kind of like dominoes. It's like assault dominoes called Virtue Signal. And yeah, it's just hilarious. It's not like one of the things that always gets me about people who play card games is like everyone's like, "Oh man, that's cool. Is it like Cards Against Humanity?" And I'm like, No, because Cards Against Humanity doesn't require any skill. And you just hope that everyone has the same sense of humor as you.
That's just basically apples to apples with genitalia. Yeah.
Yeah. Versus Virtue Signal, like it takes skill to win, and then if you get the memes, it's kind of like a secondary benefit of that fact.
Brian says, assault dominoes. Are there any thrown dominoes?
Well, they're all cards. So if you've got Gambit like mutant powers, then you could probably get away with something cool like that.
Like those dudes that can chuck a card into a watermelon or whatever.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is. I've never tried it. I don't know if it's easy or not. It doesn't seem easy. I will show you what I'm painting. My kids went to the dollar or the Five Below, which is like the upscale dollar store, and they got me this beverage, the Hero's Potion of Power.
Ooh.
And you can see it's the Red Dragon Warrior from the red box. You can see how empowered the warrior is, as seen from behind.
Being a man as he's always been.
Yes. This I could not get my hands on the miniature because it's like it's like a grab bag, right? Where you buy the box of minis and it might be in there when they come out for the 50th anniversary.
Oh, sure.
So this isn't the closest I could get among my personal pile of shame. I don't know if I can get this to focus, but she's got a wooden shield, but I still feel I can get like the black hair and the boots from behind. So here's my female red box warrior. I have started. I guess we didn't talk about technique yet. I had some black Rust-Oleum primer in one.
Yeah.
And just sprayed the whole thing black, and then I went back through. I had some testers enamel gray, and tried to do kind of a zenithal. So
that's fun.
To get some of those color values, and I am going to be using the elf eye crease pencil that I got from Meyer for applying eye crease makeup. That's my dry brusher. So I'm gonna get some white on there, and then just like really kind of dry brush the highest, the brightest part. So I'm gonna go black to gray to bright white, and then I'm going to be using my speed paints. So we'll see how that works.
I also use the high quality Meyer dry brushes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they are great for painting terrain too. I wish I knew. I blew up one of my dollar store makeup brushes, but I had one of them like ultra fat makeup brushes, so I could dry brush terrain super fast. And then I accidentally left it in some isopropyl alcohol overnight, and it exploded.
Oh, is that the one you were talking about?
No, actually, this is the brush that I left overnight, and it's got the bendy tip, but that's okay. I took it back and gave it some blue paint, some special blue paint that I got mail ordered, and stood firm. Nice. And now we're gonna see if I can get it to stand firm for 4 hours, and then take it to a doctor.
Well, so I've got this Citadel Corax white, but I don't know if you saw when I opened it. It's kind of just a solid plug in the top there, so that's not looking good for the rest of the paint.
Do you have a second bottle?
It feels like a pencil eraser.
Yeah, that Corax white is the worst. It's like amongst all of the model paints, the worst.
It's super boogery.
You want a white paint? I used to say buy Privateer Presses Morrow White, but this right here, the Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl, man, it not only does it have super great coverage, but I had this bottle last me a year.
Really?
And you get the dropper. The dropper bottle comes with a paint mixer inside of it already, and yeah, it didn't dry out within the year. That's for sure.
I'm going to go with my bleached skull as the backup. This one is at least still liquid.
Well, like I said, do you have a second bottle
of Corax?
Mm-hmm.
No,
because Paddy's right. White is about the worst color from Games Workshop. Pretty much all their white formulations have problems. I have gotten a couple good bottles of Corax White recently by gambling at my local Warhammer store. Basically, the proprietor bet me that if I bought 2 from him, those ones would be fine. And he was right. I think
Do
it's
you go to
because he got a
Ryder's?
fresh shipment in.
You go to Ryder's Hobby Shop?
No. It's an actual Warhammer store.
Oh.
Riders I also go to, but in this case, it was the Warhammer store.
Ryder's was my jam growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, got some liquid. It's kind of hard on this napkin to see when I've got it the way I want it. But here we go.
So I'm basically painting right over the old paint job because that way I don't have to prime this thing. And I am painting with, what color is this? Rakarth Flesh.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh, I got some Pterodon turquoise on the big Hefe's skinny jeans there. I'm told in modern times, skinny jeans confer a +1 confidence modifier to your AC.
Skinny jeans do?
Yeah.
Right on.
But I don't think it is a confidence modifier until somebody says, what do you got in there? A twig and some berries? And then the whole illusion gets shattered.
Unless you are, in fact, smuggling some berries.
Yeah.
I am the berry smuggler.
But if you wear the skinny jeans too long or too often, at least so I was told by my teachers, the berries do not produce as effectively.
This is true.
It was all a plan from the very beginning.
It will help neuter you.
Death cult.
That's
Cult
right.
Skinny jeans.
That's right. Between that and the Mountain Dew.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys
Those are
remember
gonna
that?
be
Like, did you hear that? Like once upon a time, where it was just like the Mountain Dew is lowering your sperm count. I remember.
I was dating a girl who told me that. I was in high school. I probably was a junior or a senior, and I loved Mountain Dew in high school. And she's like, "Well, Mountain Dew shrinks your balls."
Well,
And I was like, "Well, good. I was hoping something would."
I'm pretty sure there's cancer in there, and something's got to fight it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's unhealthy in a variety of ways. I'm not terribly convinced it does that specifically.
I was told, and I take in very good confidence that mixing it with vodka counteracts the ill effects. So,
oh, I see.
Yes.
In much the same way as that stupid woman who tried to poison her husband by giving him antifreeze and vodka.
Ooh. Well, I mean, if she would have put some
that,
ivermectin.
Vodka.
Oh.
He just got really sick repeatedly, and eventually the hospital figured out what was wrong.
Like a Munchausen by proxy type thing for her husband. That's creepy. Was that on an issue of Snapped or an episode of Snapped, perchance?
I don't know. I haven't watched that.
Well, I was watching one today where it was like one of them teddy bear cams, and this lady's like in her bathrobe and she's making coffee for her husband, and it's like, why would you show that? But then you read it, and she's like adding just one drop of bleach at a time into the coffee maker.
Oh wow!
And he's like, why is all my crap tan?
Well, yeah, and so that's basically what he did. He went and got like pool strips, like pool testing strips, and they were coming out positive. He's like, what the actual fuck? So then he got he got one of them like hidden teddy bear cams and pointed it at the coffee maker and caught her on video poisoning him. She got 3 months in jail. That was it.
Really?
3 months?
Yeah. What's up, Black Lodge? Oh yeah, and by the way, Brian, Ultra, it's good to see you guys. We got Black Lodge.
Yeah,
That's
Black Lodge in the
Thanks.
house, y'all. Is anybody else in the chat besides us painting right now? Holler it out. If Dunder Moose can grow arm hair, he can grow facial hair. Maybe I should trim it and then just kind of glue it on.
Oh, Dundermoose, what I was going to say earlier when we were talking is July, we have another round of play testing starting. That would be a really good time to meet up if you want to try some of our new material.
Yeah, I got to get caught up on the old one. Man, you guys, how much reading are you able to get done? Like in a week?
I mean, for fun, because
Yeah.
I'm reading like 600 pages plus for a church governance thing, which is, it's very boring reading.
Yeah, that sounds riveting.
It's like reading U.S. law, but slightly more organized.
I have a bunch of stuff that I need to read. I've been working with Mad Overlord Studios on a game book, and he sent me a manuscript to test read for a book that he wants to kickstart here soon. And right as soon as he sent me the manuscript, my local government here, because I serve as a volunteer on the Historic Preservation Commission, right?
Oh, nice.
And we really started to pick up steam at the tail end of last year, and things were looking really good. We were getting some grant money. We were raising money just off of donations. And then some other stuff happened with our urban renewal agency, and we came into a bunch more money that was already determined to be used for historical preservation, especially for this building that we call in town the Historic Woolen Brown Building. And so when those monies became available, we're like, okay, well, those monies were already guaranteed to us. We gave them up so that way the town can drill some new wells. You guys drop the ball. We'd like the money back so we can get this building put back together and put to use. So that way it can be a benefit to our society instead of a drain. Well, then all of a sudden I my mayor and my city council show up to my historic preservation committee. And even though I had been inviting them for a year and a half, they show up, they tell me that the building has been boarded up. And then 2 weeks later, they say, oh, and by the way, Paddy's one of 2 members, and the other member's term is about to expire in 6 months. And so I've had to pick up a bunch of slack. And on top of like, Dunder, I think I sent you the work in progress copy of From Beyond, or From the Beyond. So between like finishing that, I owe Ultra some art because he was a winner of a contest of mine. I owe like 3 other people art. I had art that I was working on for Venger. I have art that I'm working on for Todd. I have like a submission that I'm supposed to be putting into MadScribe, and I've got my finals for my electrical school coming up. I'm like, oh my god, I'm dying.
So it sounds like the AI thing has not really put a dent in your commissions yet, huh?
Well, I give away the art more than anything.
Wow. Well, I mean, I'm paying you, dude.
True.
You shouldn't have let him know that, man.
I know. I was gonna say I was planning on just doing it. So I don't have a whole lot of money, and the entirety of my life, the best way that I was able to like pay it forward to the people that I adore was to give them my art and do art for them. So that's always been like one of my favorite things to do for the bros is do some art, but trying to find time to do that.
Yeah, but on my end, I want to make sure that A, I show that you're valued, and B, if Horde War is successful, I want you to share in some of that success. And so one way to do that, other than just paying you, is if you enjoyed making the artwork and we are able to sell that product enough, Horde War is advanced, then we can hire you to do more art and you can get more money.
True.
Like we've already talked a little bit about maybe doing a module or 2, right? And doing like a dungeon map for that.
Well, the reason that I asked about the reading thing was I am still trying to learn 1E, and I'm on the DMG. Ranos has called the book non-Euclidean. One of the bros, I can't remember, I think it was Jeffro, called it a Vancian book, Like you can get part of it in your head, but it's not gonna stay there, you know.
Oh, did you see? Is RealGreyMage is in the private chat? Is he waiting in the studio?
Oh, heck yeah! Let's get him in here.
Sweet RGM. Look at
Hey,
this man.
GreyMage, you made it. Rock on, man.
Howdy. How's it going? How's my audio?
You
Sounds
sound good.
in. Although you've got something
Cool.
in the background, radio.
Yeah, I just got basically I'm on the road, so I got maybe 30 minutes of service, but I wanted to come in and chat with y'all for, that little bit that I got.
Rock on, bro. If you had made it home in time, what would you be painting?
Oh no, I'm not on my way home. I'm on my way out. So, but I would probably, I don't know if you guys have seen, I've been sharing some pictures of that giant ship that I've been working on for a while.
Yeah.
Probably would have just been working on finishing that. If you scroll down my feed a little bit, you'd probably find that. I've got the convention coming up in 2 weeks, so I was gonna do a big, basically the adventurers or pirates, and they're trying to take over a man of war. So, yeah, trying to get that done in time for that adventure.
Nice. What convention is it that you're going to go to?
It's Phoenix Fan Fusion.
Phoenix Fan Fusion. Wow. Pinch Poke, you owe me a Coke,
Yeah.
Thunder.
We just say Jinx here.
Dunder Moose, you're trying to read 1E, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm in the DMG.
Have you tried reading it from the Rules Cyclopedia?
I have the Rule Cyclopedia.
Yeah, I've got a copy also.
The thing is, it's not about the book. It just seems to be about my life right now. Like, I got so much professional crap going on, and like I'm going to this conference this weekend, and it's crazy because the stuff I've got going on, I need to focus. I got my slides done, but I'm really not solid on what I'm going to be speaking on, and I'm going to be speaking to a bunch of experts. I don't know how I get myself into these things, but so it's like the stuff that I want to focus on, even if I do get the time, my brain isn't free for it. You know what I mean? Like I need to spend my focus elsewhere. I don't know. You guys think that's good on the flesh? I'm still not used to this whole speed paints.
Interesting.
Looking a little green to me so far, but
Yeah, I think if she'd have had a warmer undercoat, she wouldn't be so nasty looking. I've got some Kislev flesh. It's not as it's not translucent, so I might have to just consider this like the warm undertone or whatever. I don't know.
you could always layer too.
Yeah, add a little white in a width to it, mix it up, and highlight it.
Yeah, I don't know how speed paints mix either. Like, well, I guess there wouldn't be any reason why they wouldn't.
Kislev shouldn't be a speed paint anyway.
I'm actually mixing speed paints right now. I've got ultramarine blue mixed with Talistar blue and a drop of water, so I can get this kind of like Finn the Human colored T-shirt.
Black Lodge says, "Can't get distracted by work if you don't have a job."
What? You finding a job yet, man? You said you were looking.
Is it? I thought his job was replacing smoke detectors.
I thought he was looking like a couple of weeks ago.
Well, they did do the Neat Cast a month ago, so maybe they're. You know what though? Their channel, like when I started off, I was like I had 80 people and they had like 300, and then they just blew up crazy fast. So they like I don't know if they like gave their soul to the devil or if there was like a deal made or if they just figured out the algorithm or what, but hats off to you guys, Black Lodge. You definitely are crushing it out there. I'm looking at this can. This is my Hero's Potion of Power. I did drink it already. It tasted like a melted popsicle. It was so thick. It's like a cherry lime thing, but I'm like using this for my colors for the warrioress that I'm painting. So We'll see how that goes. No selling of souls, just followed advice from vidIQ. If you don't mind me asking, what was it? Was it about the thumbnails and titles, or was it about the scripts, or some other secret black magic?
Black magic craft. It's doing those gains. It's getting those gains, and then deciding to be a beardy baldy. I didn't actually eat dinner before we started, so I'm gonna sneak in a cool peanut butter and jelly if you guys don't mind.
I mean, I would say that Black Lodge has courted controversy a little bit, but typically because they like a good philosopher have the hardihood to have a firm set of beliefs, and they'll tell you when they don't agree with you.
Yeah. Well, so here's one of my things is like, I try not to tell anybody who to be online, like, especially not on their own website. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, sometimes they go after people, but I feel like a lot of it is someone trying to edit them, and they're just like, no. Ultra American says they appealed to the Bro SR guys and started to say that normal people like me weren't playing TTRPGs the correct way. That's why they got so popular. There is something to that.
Yeah.
I like strong opinions, he says, especially wrong ones. Those ones are more fun, I find.
I mean, there is a certain amount of addiction to the abuse that people just love and can't seem to get away from. Yeah, I do think that's a part of it anyway. Like, did you guys ever date like a really abusive girl, and then when you got a girlfriend that treated you right, you're like, something's wrong.
I'm confused.
Wait a second.
Why did I put up with all that crap before?
Yeah.
Or are you saying like something's wrong with the new one? Why is she treating me good?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on here?
What have I done?
What did I do? Oh man, do you guys got any tips on painting hair? It looks like the Red Dragon Warrior has black hair. Oh man, that's with the ring light that is not focusing.
Is it textured on the miniature?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, it is. I don't know if that helps or harms.
Yeah, I would do depending on the color you want it to be in the end, like 3 different colors in the hair or 3 different shades.
So like a black, like a gray color, and then like a black wash or something, and then.
Well, what color do you want it to end up as?
I want it to be black hair.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, Ultra, the BLG does love himself some Forward Wars.
You could do you could do the black base coat and then 3 different shades of gray, slowly lightening and getting less and less of it painted.
Yeah.
And then if you want, you could wash it afterwards to kind of blend it together, but you don't even have to.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do.
If you are using the contrast paints, you can do you have the contrast medium by chance?
Yes, I do.
So if you use the contrast medium, all it really does is change the way that the pigment is suspended in the medium.
Mm-hmm.
And you can basically, you get your black and put a couple of drops of the medium in there. And then you just slowly glaze yourself like upwards.
Yeah.
Because there's some of the contrast paints that are just like really dark, like the Ultramarines blue is like a really dark, flat blue. And sometimes, like, I'm using it right now by itself, but normally I would glaze upwards on it instead.
Right on.
Yeah. Oh, have you guys tried the new line from Army Painter at all?
I've heard good things. I'm going to be buying my son and myself a set for our birthdays because we both have a birthday in November.
I think I got the old one. I got like the old speed paint lines from Army Painter, and then like they were like, now speed paints too. And I was like, oh man, right after I bought this one.
The reason I ask is Yeah, I've heard good things about it. Haven't had the chance to try it yet, and I'd like to. It looks good. From what I've seen online, like I've seen it demoed that way, it looks like significantly better than the other kind of contrast paints that are out there. Other than that, while they have metallics, they don't dry very quickly. I probably still wouldn't use speed paints for metallics based on the tests they've shown me. But the other stuff, oh yeah.
Scooter for showing some love for the Star Wars Day video, Black Lodge Games. That was hilarious. The other one that I really appreciated was the April Fool's Day. That was pretty awesome.
Dude, that one threw me for a loop. The build-up time for that. I 100% believed that they were working on a Western RPG, and then when they did Dr. Quinn the Medicine Woman, I was like, I mean, I still see it. They made a Dallas RPG. Why not?
Dallas.
Yeah, that threw me off. That April Fool's one. That was good.
I mean,
Until I saw which Western
you could use Boot Hill.
But I mean, there's an official Dallas RPG.
Ugh.
And I'm like, dude, there's definitely a market out there for odd sitcom. Like I'd play a Little House on the Prairie RPG super fast.
Oh man.
If you ever want to
feel like not a man.
What's that?
I said if you ever want to feel like not a man, read Little House on the Prairie and just pay attention to Pa. That dude is such a Chad.
Yeah.
He just goes into the woods and like knocks down all these trees and builds his own house.
Yep.
And then like sees smoke on the horizon. He's like, "Oh, people are too close. Time to move." And then just picks up his family and goes somewhere else and builds a new house there. I'm like, this guy doesn't have a mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today there was I got tagged in one of those threads by American Sweat Lodge, Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge, I think is the account. They're on Rumble, and they're like, share 4 characters that are super important to you. And I think they had like Vegeta and Vash the Stampede and this and that. And I hit them with Kevin Sorbo's Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. Charles Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie. Wesley from The Princess Bride. And holy crap, why can't I think of the guy from The Patriot? Mel Gibson's character. What's his name?
Just say Mel Gibson from The Patriot. It's fine.
Mel Gibson from The Patriot.
Patriotic guy from The Patriot.
Yeah, sat on it for a year and then did the month of build up because it made us laugh. Whatever.
Well, they were teasing for they started that ball rolling quick, and I think they got a lot of people with that. People that were like waiting on it, you know.
Yeah,
It was hilarious. Should I leave one white like chunk of hair and just go straight Tulsi Gabbard with her?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that could be fun, but I would still paint the white if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see here. I'm gonna zoom in my camera a little bit more.
I keep pulling it and looking at it myself, and then I'm like, oh crap, yeah, I got to get it on camera. I am no ninja on here. Can't even get my stinking camera to focus on the thing it's supposed to focus on.
Yeah, that's impossible.
Yeah. I'm gonna have that problem too, man. But I'm painting 3 different ones at once, so I'm not even trying to show it on camera yet.
This is a chill stream. This is not a how-to. But speaking of how-to, I have dropped a couple of mine as far as what do you guys think about procedurally generated world building?
It works great for Diablo. No, I think, just like your random tables are really good for developing an emergent story. I think that procedurally generated worlds have their place.
Yeah. Well, because I know there's some people that they really enjoy, and maybe Blackwall, were you one of them, or maybe it was Mage, somebody I was talking to that really gets into the whole, geological part of it, and starting off with actual science fiction style planetology and stuff.
That was Mage, but
yeah.
on my end, I think that procedural generation is very good. We advocate that in Horde Wars. We advocate an even more intense version in Horde Wars Advanced, but within kind of within a straitjacket or within rails. Like there's a bounded limit to what you are generating.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't get a setting. You just get gibberish. You have to some extent curate your random generation list, which is really what any older RPG will do too. Even for like a random dungeon generator, it's for a dungeon. It's not generating other stuff. Like it's narrow in scope, and then I think you can get some really cool stuff.
So, but like if you were starting off a campaign, how much do you generate to start with?
So a campaign or a setting, because that's a different answer.
Oh yeah, okay. To me, it's not. Like to me, the setting is the campaign. The characters come and go, but like you're starting off the history of a region. But
so going with the definition that you mentioned on stream earlier this week, right?
I should be more precise in my language. I should definitely say a setting.
Yes.
Not everybody uses the same words in the same ways.
I like to start in a very similar way to some of the Bro SR guys with basically a town, a dungeon, and an initial quest.
Yes.
However, that's not the only way I've built campaign worlds. I've actually organized an event where I got about 15 people together for an extended weekend, and we designed an entire setting meant to handle epic level play for Dungeons and Dragons, and we played it through like 35th level twice, like with the second generation and the first generation of characters, which was really cool. That was a lot of fun. But that isn't typically how I do it. In that case, though, we had a dedicated play group who were usually meeting in 2 or 3 sessions a week. And so we basically just split up the work. Like some people were in charge of laws and cultural notes. Some people were working on the maps. Some people were working on the deities and so forth.
Yeah. I feel like what I did was more along the lines of something that like Steven from World of Worth and Purple Druid and Wargaming, where he likes to create a region. He doesn't like the idea of the low res mountains popping into the horizon as people explore. He's like those should already be visible from the starting point. Man, I thought this was going to be like a blue gray, and it is turning into like a green. If you look at the if you'll take a peek at the Red Dragon Warrior on my pop can here, she's got kind of almost like a sable bum rag, and I was trying to go for like a blue gray, and I don't know if it's showing up on camera or not, but like that has got some definite.
Move it closer.
Come on, focus, camera. What did I? Soda. Yeah, the soda. I got my kids just surprised me with this. It was from Five Below, which is like a upscale dollar store. The soda was terrible. We don't call it soda here. We call it pop. So I'm gonna set her over here.
As is correct. But yeah, we're looking forward to that too, Black Lodge. I've been working on the very last chapter over the last few weeks. I did 4 to 6 hours of writing today for it, and I've got probably another 30 hours or so to go, and then it'll be over to the editor, Lord willing. I also talked with one of our artists today, actually 2 technically, because I also talked to Paddy earlier. And yeah. Where things are moving along there. As far as getting the camera to focus, do you have a sheet of white paper?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Try sticking that behind the miniature so that you block out the background that it's trying to focus on.
I've got my my character Carl the Might Nervous. He's a wizard in in Machador. No, I'm sorry. He's in Fort Fenrir right now.
Yeah, did you see Ultra was talking about. He's currently working on his dwarf deep delver brown wizard Pedro Oakenshield. Is he related to Oh, I got him right here. Aha. Oh no, this is not my character. That's Baby Bear's character because he had blast playing Horde Wars 2. Where did I put Colgrim? Colgrim, Iron Axe is missing in action. We have to save him.
This camera is absolute butt. I am sorry, guys. I'm gonna start
No,
going
don't
the
worry.
other one and just hold her up.
Other option is you could just take a still with your camera and
Mhm.
post it in chat or on the screen.
Right on. Have a good night, Black Lodge. Again, congrats on just pretty much taking over. I've got some crazy plans for after this conference when I get back, and Black Lodge may be involved.
Nice.
I need to run a Battle Bronstein of my own, or I have to relinquish the hashtag BroSR. So, I got some schemes and some plans. I got my hat on, my leather BroSR DM hat, just to keep everyone enraged.
Where did
Well,
you
if you
get
wanna run one-
where'd you get the band that goes around the hat? Where did you get
The
that?
guy
hat?
that made the hat made it as well. It's just leather. He's a buddy of mine. He's a leather
Oh,
worker, and yeah. I got this hat, which was referred to as stupid on stream by someone. I won't name names. But then maybe he was talking about this hat. This might be the one that was referred to as dumb. I feel like when I put this on, I either go one of two ways. Peaky Blinders, or I'm sorry, Mario, but our princess is in another castle.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Little the old shroomage going on.
I was gonna say, sometimes when I put on one of those hats, I feel like let me see if I got it. Yeah, hold on, I'll be right back. That's right.
Dundermoose, for the Battle Brownstein, if you want help getting a group together, you let me know. We can probably get a good 10 to 15 people together down here.
That would be awesome.
Oh.
I got a this is even worse. Oh wait, no, for a second.
Yeah, I
Focus
think
on her
I
butt.
think it looks good.
Look at that booty, woo!
When I wear my cabbie hat, this is the way I see myself.
Oh, there you go, the goon, man. Nice.
Nothing but misery. I love these comics, dude. I absolutely adore these. They're so good. Yeah, of the art that I try to emulate for my books, it's somewhere between Earl Otis and Eric Powell. I love them.
Oh, by the way, what you guys have I think both seen it at least. What do you think? I know Paddy has. What do you guys think of the way we did the starting area in Horde Wars Basic? Because that's kind of how I will build out a setting. Now, for the setting chapter, we're doing something like that, but at a national scale. But yeah, what did you guys think of that?
Well, walk me through it. Like, what's the diff?
With Mercia.
Yeah, so you get this starting region with, in Basic, it's like 11 or 13 different adventure locations. There are 4 major buildings, important buildings in the starting town where you can get a quest at each of them. There are traveling merchants who come to the town who have their own quests. And then there are set piece adventures, like if you go to this location, there's danger and treasure and stuff.
Okay.
And it's an isolated region, so it is relatively difficult for a low-level party to leave the region without dedicated effort, and there are reasons to stay. And that's deliberate, so because we want a new game master to get the chance to run a few sessions of prepared material before they have to make their own stuff.
Right on.
And we've left gaps. We've left areas for the game master to add their own material in that area as well. We don't just fill the Witchwood region around Grimstead. But you've got also half a dozen NPCs in the town to work with or more, and a reason that some would like you or not like you. And this, I think, really helps get players to like the setting. And then the same thing for advanced, where we're working on showing you the nations. We're giving you typically 3 different adventures and a half a dozen NPCs to help showcase what is this nation like, while leaving you plenty of space to put in your own material.
So I'm not a game designer, but let me ask, how much when you're creating that, how much are you thinking of the players versus how much are you thinking of a DM? And because I feel like the DM is your first audience, right? And like most of the book, your players may never read. But how much, like, what DM do you have in mind when you're writing it? Is it someone who's been playing a bunch of stuff and wants to try something new? Or are you like writing for the guy that has never run a role-playing game before?
Like the oldest and one of the best role-playing games, we do not hold your hand. We do have an introductory adventure where it's in more detail, but which is Goblins Attack. But after that, we're giving you the information you need, just the information you need to run the adventure. And we're showing you basically how to build an entire adventure in a half page or less, including some NPCs and stuff. And we're modeling that because we want a new game master, and ideally an experienced one, to see that and not have to spend hours or days prepping something like I did when I was young and stupid.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Slack Aries, for the hat with a big old stash. That is a vibe.
But you know, on the whole, we are trying to make this both player and DM facing. We realize that some players are going to read ahead, and so that's one of the reasons that we put some random elements in the adventures. So even the player who's functionally trying to cheat isn't actually going to know how it will end.
Yeah.
I think I also hold the record for most goblins goaded into self-destruction.
That is very, yeah.
Tell me that story. How did that happen?
So as a dwarf who's well traveled, my guy knows full well that the goblins in that particular region, or with it throughout Horde Wars, are extremely greedy little gits. And they will shiny. Yeah, they will shiny themselves into harm's way. And so I took a big old chunk of like pure obsidian, really shiny, and tossed it really, really close to a fire, and then watched like 9 or 10 of them just start clobbering each other as they try to get this piece of obsidian that was worth like 50 gold pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty great. The goblins get a willpower check, but they have a 75% chance of failure. Paddy got lucky. They leaned hard into failure.
Yeah, and at the end of it, like, one of them with his tushy still on fire was like, I got it, and ran into the forest and was not seen again.
Yeah, one got away with it.
So is he going to come back and be like the nemesis, the burnt?
What does he have to be mad about? He got the money.
Oh, he didn't just run off. He ran off.
No, he got the money. Yeah,
he got the money.
Rock on, little guy.
He got it. Shouldn't be mad at me anyway.
Well, so the previous conversation has got me thinking about, do you guys remember your first time DMing, and like, what was the system and how did it go? Do you remember your second time? Like, after you finished I'm assuming, I don't know, did you guys use Homebrew your very first time DMing, or did you run a published adventure? And what was your follow-up to that? And I mean, for me, this was many, many years ago, so I wouldn't be surprised if you guys don't remember it. But
well, how about you?
For me, the first game was West End Games Star Wars D6, and
fun game.
There was an adventure in the back of the book where you got some guys that are like trying to join the rebellion. And they go to this I just remember it was a very vertical map. It was like a mining station or something like that. And I had a blast running it, but you know how you do the first time. You don't know if you're doing it right, if you remembered everything correctly and all that stuff. And if there was like after that adventure, there was like a page of suggested further adventures, and all they were was like a paragraph each. It was just like a little prompter.
Mhm.
And I felt like that was a really good way to set me up to say, hey, you don't need a map. You don't need all these stat blocks and drawings and stuff. Like, you just need a paragraph to get your guys excited, get them off to the races.
That's exactly what I'm talking about with those.
Yeah.
With
And
those.
so, like, I
site-based
really,
events.
I don't remember. Like, I remember going to Ryder's Hobby Shop and seeing published Star Wars adventures and like thinking it was so weird. Like, who would ever buy a published adventure when you guys just make it up with your friends and you get to decide what happens? Eventually I did buy one. There was one where it was like I think it was called Riders of the Maelstrom, and you were on a big pleasure yacht, like a giant space. It was like a cruise in space, and then like pirates attacked halfway through. So that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I got it after that, but like I do remember just having that moment of like, why would anybody ever buy someone else's adventure when you just make it up yourself with your friends for free?
Yeah,
I generally
tell you
agree.
what, there are people out there, like I've met a bunch, especially in the like tabletop war gaming community, that they lack the ability to imagine. Like, they've never played pretend before, but they love war games. And I invited one of these guys over to do like a terrain making night, like a hobby hero night is what I used to call
Cool.
it. And I had all of the materials. I pre-cut a bunch of closed pink cell phone insulation, and I used to have these Talenti cups. Have you guys ever seen those? The Talenti gelatos? Oh, here we go. This was one of my easiest little projects that I would have people do, because it was like a great way to make something easy for your table. And so all this is it's like a Talenti gelato cup.
Yeah.
And I hot glued it to a CD with some cork.
Was that like an AOL CD?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But
I just aged us all.
Yeah, I took have so many of those. So like I have this jar here of just cut bricks that I can that I just hot glue onto stuff, and I make terrain with it. And this guy, after sitting down and watching me and like two other dudes make these towers, hadn't gotten anywhere. And I'm like, "Are you okay, bud? Is everything all right?" And he's like, I don't know where to begin. Well, you just watched us. And he's like, no, I can gather that, but I don't. No, I just don't. And so I don't know. I mean, there's a market for it. I'm one of the guys that writes adventures. I remember the first time that I DM'd, I did it was really funny, because in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, they do like this like a gladiatorial arena type of thing, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, that was my first adventure, was like gladiatorial, like slaves being pitted against each other to find out who was going to be like the king's men. And I did like a maze with traps in it. Then there was like a sphinx in there with riddles. And then there was like an ettercap. And we made it all the way up to the sphinx riddles before my playgroup fell apart. And then the next adventure I started running was Something's Cooking in 3.5. It was one of the first free adventures ever made for 3.5. And you go to a witch's hut, and you I don't want to give it away particularly, but you fight a pizza golem, or a calzone golem.
Calzone golem.
And so it's a great introductory adventure. It takes like an hour and a half
burn the roof of your mouth.
Right? Yeah, and I think that was one of its abilities, was like hot marinara sauce. But if you ordered a pizza and you timed it right, you could defeat the calzone golem and have pizza like immediately afterwards. And it's awesome. It's like one of my favorite adventures of all time.
That's cool.
But
Yeah, I wasn't trying to throw any shade to people who like actually make adventures, because obviously that's huge.
Well, adventures, when I buy them, typically it is to mine for parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, either A, it's a published adventure where I maybe want to run that or something similar, or use similar materials. For example, when I bought Dragon Mountain, I actually just wanted the maps of this giant mega dungeon.
Okay.
I've also run the module, but on the whole, that's not why I bought it. I bought it for the parts.
Yeah.
Same thing for.
That seems like that could be a very freeing thing. Like,
Yeah.
one of the things that drove me to the play style that I'm in now is I did not like the strain of having read ahead and know a bunch of things that are supposed to happen, and then wondering if they were, or if the players were going to go somewhere else with it. And I didn't like that constant tension of not wanting to railroad anyone, but also having an intended destination to arrive at. It felt bad.
Yeah, I mean, railroads have their place in conventions. That's a good place to have a railroad adventure, because you have a limited time frame with a limited play group, and everyone kind of knows what they're signing up for.
Yeah, well, and you could have somewhere it's like a competition, right, where everybody's playing the same one, and like whoever gets to all the stuff first wins. Or
yeah,
Yep. There's like ratings for magic items received and kept at the end, and party members left alive.
Yeah, but other than that, I think yeah, an attempt to railroad is generally not good in a especially in a long-term play group.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think so. I am certainly not an expert in this. I really like playing the game, and it is what it is. I play with a lot of normies that have never played before. They're like, oh yeah, what do you do for fun? And I tell them about it, and then they want to come over and they want to check it out. And every once in a while, I get some people that really like want to keep on coming back and playing. But for the most part, especially when I was in the service, I couldn't just keep a play group. There was too many people that were getting out or changing duty station. So I really adapted how I played the game and my love for it with one-shot adventures, because you never really knew how long you'd have with particular people. And a lot of people that have never played before, or maybe they have no intention of playing again, but they give you the night to play.
Yeah.
They really just want to be taken on a ride.
Yeah.
There's a reason why.
Do you have a favorite one shot? Like, did you have a go-to where, like, either when you went to a new base or new guys came around you and you were like, all right, I know I can run this one with my eyes closed. I know they're going to have a good time. This is my go-to.
There was So there was a bunch of guys that I knew that really liked horror, and I was so familiar with the Cthulhu D20 3.5 book that I would just run that, because a lot of people were just really able to connect with, okay, this exists in a world that I'm very familiar with. And that's a big barrier for especially a lot of soldiers that are like gun-ho, and they're like, I don't want to play that gay stuff, which is really funny, because when I was on deployment, I asked a bunch of people, I was like, yeah, you guys want to play Dungeons & Dragons? And they're like, yeah, we don't want to play that gay shit. Well, I got my buddy Mike and my buddy Cody, and it was me and them two DMing. And then 2 months later, we had the entire tent all huddled around our makeshift plywood table.
Just making out.
And my play group went from 2 to 9. And that was really cool.
Because the word gets out, right?
The word gets out, and we're all having fun. Well, because if they weren't playing that, then they'd have to go play spades, and nobody fucking knew the rules to spades, and would get really butthurt. And some guy would be like, "Yeah, that's not how you play," whatever. Okay, so
they're like, "We don't want to play by the rules. We want to play Dungeons and Dragons."
Yeah, normally I'm really good at making stuff up on the fly, but yeah. like I said, when I was in high school, Something's Cooking was the easiest one to run. And then I've ran the adventure in the 7th edition Gamma World book. I've run that one a couple of times.
What's the best Gamma World?
I've only never had the pleasure of playing the one. And it was the 4th edition one that everyone says, oh yeah, that game is so much better if you don't play with the cards. And I vehemently disagree.
Because in the DMG, Gary does talk about jumping your characters between worlds, and the two that he mentions are Boot Hill and Gamma World.
Yep. I really enjoy
like,
Gamma World, and if
there's
I
got to
could,
be some crossover there, right?
Yeah, if I could, I would definitely play the. I'd definitely play the 1st edition Gamma World. There's some really weird tables with the tech, but the 7th edition is what I have physical copies of, and that one's really easy. That was the first RPG that my wife ever played. It was just her and I basically built a Gamma Terra version of her hometown, and she had a blast with that.
The reason I asked earlier, Dunder Moose, about the rules cyclopedia is it's better organized, and it's the same rules.
Yeah, so I went to my friendly local gaming store, and they had just put out a bunch of used stuff, and my eyes got huge, and I just bought them all up. I've got 1st edition Dungeon Master's Guide from 1E, Player's Handbook. I got the Deities and Demigods, but it doesn't have Cthulhu or Alric in it, so it wasn't the good one, but it was good to me. But they had a rules cyclopedia, and I snapped that up. And then I realized when I got home, I was looking through them all. Everything was legit except for that one. It had that little barcode on the last back of the page that lets you know it was print on demand. And I was like, oh, man. So I didn't really get a deal on that one at all. I think it would have been about the same price as if I'd have had one shipped to me from Drive-Thru RPG. However, I did get it right away. But I didn't make a bargain on that or anything. But I was still so happy with the rest of my haul.
Oh, yeah. I got mine about I got mine for about $20-$25. It's an original rules cyclopedia.
Oh, you got an original one for that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I bought it from a video game store of all places. You may have heard of it, Vidiots.
No. That's pretty funny. Is
North
that
End of Grand Rapids, not the main thing they sold, but they just happened to get some as part of a collection that they had bought of video games, and they had some D&D stuff, and so I picked that up that way.
And they didn't know how much that they could have probably sold that for, and so they gave it to you for that price?
Well, I actually bought, I think, all of the D&D material from them. That was just how much I paid for that piece of it.
Oh, I see. So you were just I'll have the lot.
It was they want to get rid of it. It's not their normal customers.
You went full Mr. Creosote on them.
My papa talks about coming home one day and who he thought was his girlfriend became his ex-girlfriend while he was gone, and all of his books were left outside.
Oh, heartbreaking.
Yeah, and so I guess somebody else had come and rifled through them and picked up a bunch of them, and yeah.
Wow.
So he's still got the Fiend Folio from way back when. He's still got the PHB and the DMG. But other than that, one of the things that I always look forward to looking at when I get to see him, and one of these days, what was that? Give me a second. Right? Might be right back. Yeah, I gotta go check on my kids and stuff. Give me 1 second.
You got it.
Lock them in their rooms, Paddy.
So Blackwall, do you have a go-to one shot that you think is just?
Well, yeah. I mean, for Horde Wars specifically, I've run Goblins Attack probably something like 50 times now.
Oh man!
And you know what? It's never ended the same way, which is good.
That is good.
It's designed to have a decent amount of replayability. And I think Paddy has played that. Paddy, you've played in Goblin's Attack, haven't you?
Yeah, I played Goblin's Attack and I played the Vampire.
Well, what'd you think of the Goblin's Attack adventure?
I love it. I think it's a great. I think it's a quintessential. I think it replaces the Rats in the Basement, and first encounter for me.
Awesome. And I think was Hunter was he in that one with us? He's asking about that.
I know I played with Hunter and Brian in the Vampire one.
Okay.
And Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
what someone Brown Wizard was talking about where they went out to sea and hit something they couldn't handle.
Oh yeah. So they decided to play with some of the advanced rules and were rolling on the Seaborn Encounters table. And so that, and they happened to roll a Arctic worm. And that thing is, I mean, it's not ecologically the same, but in terms of power level, it's roughly equivalent to a purple worm. And they're like level 1.
So well beyond their abilities.
And it's aquatic. So they actually managed to appease it by feeding the wizard to it.
Good, solid choice. Solid. Well, there wasn't a bard around, right?
It wasn't really bartering so much as rolling if it was still hungry after it ate.
No, I said there wasn't a bard around.
No. No, there was no attempt to seduce the worm.
I just
real
feed the bard to
charmer.
But a wizard's a good second choice.
But that was what Winston did. They actually almost beat the thing. They took out over half of its health, and then it started critting on them.
Huh. Yep.
And it had a swallow whole ability. And so Winston's character went from, he had a really powerful scroll that let him turn into this 60 hit point wyvern. And he got one shot, a single bite from that worm with a crit. Not only dropped him to 0 hit points, it also swallowed him whole.
Right on, man.
And then they were like, "Oh crap!"
I love that "oh crap" moment. That's why there's a big debate about fudge and dice recently, and like, for me, if you never fudge, and like, if they know that you are just not only willing to let them die, but like that you'll laugh your head off when they do. When they face stuff like that again, they know, oh crap, he's not going to swoop in and save me. If this thing crits on me, I'm toast.
Oh yeah,
it changes the way they play,
and absolutely, it's far more fun for me both as a game master and a player.
Yeah,
and also like just as on a moral end, isn't lying wrong?
Yes.
I brought that up, but then one of the points they made was like, well, aren't you as a DM kind of, I mean, we're all kind of participating in the fiction of the world, right? So,
no, you're not lying. You all know that this is an imaginary world. You are lying when you lie about the result of your dice.
Yeah, you can't lie about the fiction.
Yeah.
Slacarius says, I don't even understand why fudging is a debate. It's the stupidest thing. Completely remove all tension and fairness.
Yes.
Although I feel like if RealGreyMage were still here, he might have something to say, because he was starting to come down, not on the, do it whenever you want side of it, but like that there may be, I mean, obviously he's gray, right? He's not black, he's not white, he's in the middle. So he's going to be that way. But
I don't think there's any reason to lie about the dice results. Other than perhaps, and then this isn't lying so much as having a player reroll, if they get a redundant result on a random generator and just telling them to reroll.
Yeah, I could see that, because that's just boring. It's like goblins again, or what have you.
Bring it on.
Or you roll the thing that doesn't exist, like you roll a dragon, but you just killed the dragon in the same hex or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But
So
what if the dragon they were gonna like do some sort of like sundown showdown, and the one showed up really early to prepare and was like, ah crap.
You
I gotta deal with
killed my
these guys.
mate.
And then this other dragon's like coming over and he's like, all right, asshole, let's do this. Wait. What?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have the second dragon go, Grandma, Grandma.
Oh no.
That works, but example. But the idea being, if you get a dead result, re-rolling is good. But then you should just be honest and tell the players that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Go.
Brian was asking
Yep.
when I'm gonna be able to play some Horde Wars again. I'm not sure. I went from being almost positive that I was on time and going to deliver the Horde Wars basic map or the Horde Wars advanced map, like way before I think I was aiming for end of July. Now I'm not 100% sure.
Well, that's all right.
I've got
we got a little wiggle room there, man.
Yeah, I got because I think you were looking for December, but I was really hoping to.
Well, September, December, if we have to push it out.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Arnman says the shipmaster's son was the last crewman alive, and I think he's still waiting for us to come back to the ship. Yes,
he is. Poor guy, you abandoned him.
What's that in 1-to-1 time?
Exactly.
Oh, it's been months.
Ultra American says, I ran Goblin's Attack for the first time as a GM for some new players. When I looked at the Goblin King stats for the first time, I was the one saying, oh, crap.
Well, good.
Let's go ahead. I'll see if I can get my camera to focus. Let's go ahead and do a mini check and see how you guys are doing. I don't have her shirt done yet. She's got a necklace and also her horns. And the wood, man, come on, don't look at me. The wood on her shield hasn't been done yet, but I've gotten like some of the details. I'm kind of glad I did the flesh first so that I could work around it. I'm still not happy with how green her bum rag is, but I think we're at the junction of it is what it is for that. So
you could just paint over it.
Yeah.
So I've got some wet paint going on, so it might look a little weird, but I have. See if I can get it to focus on them.
I got Jeff about done.
Yeah, he's looking good, man. He's got kind of a Shaggy vibe. Oh yeah, those skeletons look awesome too.
3 of them.
Very Jason. Oh man, that's great.
Harryhausen vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got 3 of them almost done.
Welcome back from baseball practice, Archer's friend. Oh man, that's a flower looking thing. What is that from, Paddy?
This was a mini crate limited edition model from Privateer Press for War Machine and Hordes. I was a big fan of these alternative sculpts that they were doing for like the longest time. Like this was one of my favorite ones that they did. Was one of their characters.
This is my boomstick.
Exactly. And
I
Grand
Rapids, Michigan, I might add.
Recently fell out of love with Privateer Press and stopped my subscription, but not before I got that one last model.
And why waste
what is that? A ballista?
A giant ass crossbow. I think it's supposed to be like Van Helsing.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me. Who's the guy in Trigun that carries a cross round full of guns?
The priest. What is his name?
Yeah.
Was it Wolf? No.
I don't remember. It'll come to us, I'm sure.
It's been a long time since I watched Trigun. I was kind of surprised Cowboy Bebop got the live action before Trigun did. Yeah. Not that I wasn't complaining until I watched the first episode, and the first 5 minutes of the first episode I was actually enjoying, and then I started not enjoying it immediately after that.
How do you think they would do the really big guy that's in the first episode? You know, the one with the long earlobes? Because he's
in his chain fist.
He's like 4 times bigger than other humans of his. I mean, I know it's sci-fi, but like.
Did you guys see this?
Oh, that's cool.
The Kenosha Kid himself.
Oh man. That game sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. That's something else.
I mean, he'd be good for a zombie survivor.
Yeah.
Like as a miniature in other games like that. That actually wouldn't be bad. dark future, apocalyptic setting, what have you.
Have you guys ever had a role-playing game just go awful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
What happened, and how did you respond to it?
Do you want
How
to
do
go
you
first?
wish that you had responded now?
You want to go first, Todd?
Sure. I've had a few incidents over the years, but that's because I've been running games for 20 plus years,
Right.
and playing in them as well. But we've had a player rage quit once or twice.
That never
and-
feels good, does it?
No, and in particular because he had been told that if new supplements were bought for the game, and the game master read and approved them, then they could be used.
Mm-hmm.
So he had bought a book, the game master read it and approved 2/3 of the book. There was a third of the book that had other rules that required like a revision of the setting to accommodate that were not allowed. And he just flipped out and quit.
Because he was like, I wasted all my money on this thing and you won't let me use it.
Oh,
hey,
no.
like carry to the
And the
rescue
game
with
master let
Wolfwood.
him use 2/3 of it. They were like, this chunk of the book is fine. It's this section.
But that's not what he focused on.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Slacarius. Wolfwood was the priest with the giant gun cross in Trigon.
Very well done. Good teamwork, everybody. We did it.
Right on. All of us are smarter than any one of us.
That's true. I have tested as a genius by taking a test with my siblings. The four of us took an IQ test and got the maximum score.
Nice.
However, none of us would actually do that on our own. just had the person who's good at it take that question.
How did you handle the rage quit, and how would you do it nowadays?
I repeated the conditions. The rest of the play group were kind of nodding along. They're like, "Yep, this has been the case for the entire time that this campaign's been running." And I was just like, we can either resume playing or get out. Up to you.
Did he give you any indication that a rage quit was on the table?
No, not until that happened. And it wasn't even what we were playing in the game right then. It was something he wanted to add later.
Yeah.
Which was just very odd.
If you had known that it was going to result in a rage quit, would you have changed your ruling?
No.
Okay.
Nice.
No, it would require rewriting the entire setting we'd been playing in for like half a year to a year at that point.
Yeah.
We wanted to incorporate a bunch of like haunting spirits of dead heroes, which would have either required me to write a bunch of haunting spirits of dead heroes or shoehorn the horrifying and creepy examples in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of which I was on board with.
That's one of the hardest things to learn, right? Is that like sometimes things happen and there wasn't a thing you could do. It was just destined to fall apart.
Well, I mean, the game continued. Just that player didn't play with us for like a year and a half till he calmed down.
Okay. Robert Stevens, the Irish Candyman, is in the chat.
Nice.
Welcome in, man. I am going to have B-Dubs and Bob Stevens come on after my... Oh, nice skeleton, man.
Yeah, let's see if we can get it to focus. There we go.
There you go. I'm going to have them come on. This is Dunder Moose, and they're going to do like a wrestling style review of all the Battle Bronsteins that we know about so far. B-Dubs was talking to me about coming on and doing that, and I was like, I need someone who speaks wrestling, and I knew immediately who that was going to be. So I'm excited for that.
I ran one for my superhero game play tests.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, I've run a couple, but I ran one like last week.
So what did your players think?
Oh, we've been doing that in segments of sessions. This was just almost an entire session of the players interacting on an organization level, running there because they started more than one organization. Like they've got a detective agency, they have a spy ring, they started a superhero services for the city organization. And then they crossed a clandestine government agency who has begun bagging and tagging them.
Oh boy.
And so they're in basically open war with the federal government at this point in the game world.
Who's playing the federal government?
So the federal government currently is being run by me because the players are running all of these other organizations.
Okay.
If I had a third party who I could bring in to also run the government agents, I think that'd be hilarious. However, I don't have a spare person to do that regularly. And this has been like an ongoing thing now for months, but it switched from an occasional combat in the game session to now this is a full-on multi-city, multi-state ongoing conflict, and they're playing on the scale of months with this threat rather than on the scale of like, what are we doing tomorrow? And it's been really interesting to see what they tried to do. One thing they did is they uploaded a rogue AI into the global satellite network and helped it take over. One player did that.
Topical.
All of the other players were horrified.
Yeah.
They were like, "Why would you do that?" He's like, "Well, it's too late now."
Yeah.
That Pandora's
why
box
not?
is open.
And they and then so they're dealing, so it's really interesting, and they're working in many ways at cross purposes with one another, because I've got 3 different play groups in the game world. 2 different game masters are running, and the play groups are fairly frequently interacting with one another in a way that causes problems, or on purpose, like causes conflict, which is fun. We've got players who have been pranking each other by stealing each other's items in the game.
Everyone is so afraid of going PvP, and I'm like, that's where the magic happens, people.
Oh, dude, they're texting each other. They know each other in real life, right? So they're playing in person, even if in different groups. So like, you'd have one dude sneak into a rich dude's yacht and steal his hat, like just to mess with him, and then that player, seeing he'd been messed with, would go tow the first player's motorcycle and impound it.
Nice.
And just all kinds of goofy stuff like that. And that's really fun. But as far as the Brownstein stuff this last session, they were basically trying to operate on a multi-month major threat. How do our organizations deal with that, and how do we get them out alive? It was basically a survival scenario where really, if something like the federal government's after you, you're pretty screwed as a private individual or a private company. And they knew that, and so they were essentially playing against the clock, each of their organizations. How do we get out? How do we preserve as much as we can, and how do we prevent the government from finding us?
That sounds fun, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
All right, Paddy, I don't know if you answered the question about having a session go horribly wrong and how you handle it.
A couple of times. You deal with a couple different types of personalities when you play with soldiers, especially ones that aren't used to playing. Ones that like try to out rules lawyer you, and that's fine. That's definitely like a big part of why I'm a huge proponent of just playing as rules as written these days. But
causes less strife.
Yeah, there's that. So there was like one guy that got really mad because his character died, and it was a we were in the Middle East deployed. So I was like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to run like a Call of Cthulhu campaign that's set way back when. I was thinking, if you guys ever played that the video game Eternal Darkness.
Sanity's dude, I loved that game.
The very first chapter with the Roman the Legionnaire. So I was kind of running like one of those, and his character died, and he was like, "Well, what the hell? Why are you treating me like this? It's because, it's because you don't like me."
Well, let me ask,
or
was it his
whatever.
fault?
He was kind of belligerent. He was playing the tough guy character that wanted to rough and
And he
tussle.
felt like by letting him die, you weren't allowing him to play the tough guy character that he wanted to.
Correct. Yeah. So there's that. I've had some players try to
Almost
hit me.
an expectation of dice fudging on your part to preserve his headcanon.
Yeah, and then I've had some players hit me with well, that's not like real life. And I'm like, what do you mean that's not like real life? Well, I've had this happen to me in real life, and that's not how it went down. And I'm like, okay, well, calm down, Mark Wahlberg. It wouldn't have, if I had been there, it wouldn't have gone down like that, And I'm like, okay, well, this is a game, and I can choose to believe you, or I can choose to not to. That's not what we're doing here. We're doing something completely different. They didn't like that. And with those ones, like I said, I was pretty privileged in the sense that I'm a very likable, persuasive dude who had like an ever rotating cast of people around me at any time. So if I wanted to get new players, I could. I didn't have to sit there and take smack from my players. It was like, it's really funny. What was it? Monday I was watching that live stream, and that guy was just like, you never had your players rebel against you. I'm like, fuck no. Hell no. My players rebel against me, I'll smack those kids on the butt, tell them who's the boss. Anyway, but I think one of my worst moments was getting my wife into playing games. And
I still haven't done that. My wife does not get it.
Oh, dang. Well, I hope that you guys try it again and you figure it out. But I got invited to play in a game with a bunch of my National Guard soldiers. She came along with. I was DMing, and we ran like 5th level characters, and I really wanted to test the waters with this group. And I ran an encounter where a village had its like hive mind taken over by an aboleth living in the well underneath.
Cool.
And so the option, of course, was to, die futilely trying to fight the aboleth and save the villagers, or to try and bide their time and work with the aboleth and try to get it, more brains or whatever. I don't like playing an evil campaign, but I was trying to test like the heroics of these guys. Well, then, the one guy that played like the ranger fighter multi-class wanted to try to fight everything the entire time. My wife just wanted to play a bard and be like a support character.
Mm-hmm.
And his actions basically got her killed before she was able to do anything. And I don't fudge dice. I always play in the open. And it's like, I looked at my wife and I'm like, sorry, not sorry. The aboleth took over his brain. The fighter chopped your cute little half-elf's head off. And she was really cool about it, but nobody else liked that.
Get good, sis.
Yeah, nobody else like that. They're like, wow, you really treat your wife like that? I'm like, what the fuck? She's not my wife. She's Trilla, the half-elf bard.
This isn't me treating her like that. This is harsh reality.
Yeah. Can you share the screen I've got pulled up, Dunder?
Yes, I can. Here we go.
Cool. So that's the original paint job on the things I'm working on. And so I can show you what I've turned that into now if my camera focuses. So I'll quick.
Yeah. Bob says she had to learn. I can just tell you in Trillopulous, like, nobody feels bad if their character dies. You feel bad if your character dies and it wasn't hilarious.
Well, yeah,
like good, man.
I've been working on my own RPG game for a long time, and in the forward, I wonder if I've got it pulled up here on my computer. In the forward, I had written this a little while ago. Oh man, what is it? Die 10. Wait for it to load up. Let's see here. This is still a work in progress. I wrote this a long time ago and I forgot about it, but I was like talking to people doing the really awkward thing, like, oh, if you've never played a role-playing game before, this is what role-playing games are. Not knowing for sure. It's like, oh yeah, way for me to think that my game is going to be the first game that anyone plays. But here's a stab in the dark. But I was like, no need to feel awkward about getting into character and acting your dialogue or pantomiming his actions or narrating such things as an author would. Most of the fun is leaning into the decisions that will birth the story organically and allowing the dice and your tactical decisions to decide how the events will unfold. Celebrate your crits, which is a mechanic in the game, and have a healthy remorse for your catastrophes, which is another mechanic in the game. If your character should meet their fate at a time you feel was too early, take solace in knowing there's a new character sheet with a new hidden life waiting for their turn, perhaps to avenge the death of the recently deceased. Now, play like you intend to die, for glory is for legends and remorse is for the living.
That was well written, not just for explaining the rules and the approach, but like just on a linguistic level. Like, I feel like I could read that and it wouldn't be too much heavy lifting. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be there. I've been reading some high Gygaxian, and dude was smart, and he was writing for smart people. And,
one of the things that I never thought I would consider praise, but somebody was talking to me about how much they liked the skirmish game Mutants. And one of the things he said is like, I really like how I can read this and I don't feel like a frustrated author is trying to give me a lecture.
Yeah.
So that felt really good in a way that I don't know. Like, it made me feel really good and I appreciate the kind words. But
well, people don't realize
I need to go back and reread a bunch of rules.
The people don't realize that easy reading is hard writing. And easy writing is hard reading. Like, if it comes out quick and you don't have to like go back and sweat over it and like kill your darlings and just do all that stuff, like if you are an indulgent writer, it is very hard to read that stuff. And I can't remember who's famous for saying, sorry that my letter was so long. If I had had more time, it would have been shorter. And
I think that was Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Somebody. But like, yeah, I always appreciate that when someone doesn't just pay attention to the rules or what they're trying to communicate, but also just to that kind of surface level of the prose. I'm not saying it always has to be simplistic and stuff. I think it can definitely, go poetic and use like iambic pentameter or what have you. But like, striking that balance where you're not just like boring people to tears, but also,
well, for me, I was really concerned about the size of the book because I really wanted everything that I did to be really easy to print at home if you had like a double-sided computer.
Yeah.
And when you print a zine that's meant to be printed at home, about, what is it? 15 pages. So about 60 actual book pages. And the book really, like, you can kind of see on this one where the pages start to really taco fold on out of the cover here.
Yeah.
So
cut them.
This one was like my first one, and I think that one's probably one of my shorter ones. I haven't even printed my newest adventure yet, but you could really see where it starts to come out there. And I was like, I really need this to fit in a way that doesn't make people feel silly. Or have to buy like a mega stapler to staple together.
Well, I did buy a mega stapler because I print them off a lot. And one of the things I appreciate is when people have page counts by 4s. Because I have a printer that can either do 11 by 17 or the 8.5 by 11 at work. And if you print it booklet mode, you get 4 pages per sheet of paper.
Yep.
And so if like somebody has it on like if the math is just easy if it's divisible by 4,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what I try to work in, and I try to make sure that each page is meaningfully spent, and I try to be very I'm not very good at it in mutants, so to speak, because I've been working on the art for a really long time for that book. So there's a couple of pages that are really heavy on your toner, but moving forward from that book, that's one of the things I think about a lot when I'm doing layout and art for books, is trying to be really nice on toner. And if I'm going to use parts with like big black splotches on it, I try to use them sparingly and meaningfully.
Right on, man.
Because the idea is like, I know what it's like to grow up a poor gamer. So,
right on.
But get the PDF. Usually I give them away for free. But get the PDF, print as many as you want, give them to your friends for Christmas. I don't care. When I first started doing this, I was like, man, if I get one guy that plays my game, that would be like really cool. Otherwise, I'm more or less just making this for like me, my wife, and my kids. My wife, my kids, and I.
So the one you sent me, I really dug that cyborg-looking guy who looked like he had just been fused out of furniture. I forget what you called him.
The armature zombie.
Yes. Oh man, that thing was some serious nightmare fuel.
Yeah. Here, I'll send me your email real fast on Twitter, and I'll email you a copy.
I think you already did, didn't you?
Oh, that was my whip. This is the finished.
Oh, rock on, man.
Oh, well then I should just have your email address in here real quick.
By the way, Dundermoose, some of the guys on the Horde Wars server were really excited about us creating a monster of you.
Well, what?
Having a Dundermoose in the Horde Wars world.
A Dundermoose. Okay. Yeah. Bob says he would be a main Carter. I think he's talking about if he was my producer, for sure. Oh, yeah. What would be the powers of a Dundermoose?
See, that's the question. We actually are including a moose in advanced.
Okay.
So it would really probably be something that changes about the moose. What do you think?
Yeah, so the name Dundermoose, there's a history to that. It comes from Halo 2.
Hmm.
I was like the best in my group of friends that, back in Halo 1 days, it was actual true couch co-op. You could get 4 guys on the same screen, and you could get 4 Xboxes hooked together, and like you could get 16 people playing. It was awesome. Kids really don't know what you're missing these days. I know old people say that all the time, but like having just one person per Xbox these days is such a far cry from where the hobby began.
Oh yeah,
LAN parties. But like I was the guy that stomped everyone in my group, and so I thought I was pretty good, And then Halo 2 came out, and they had this thing where all of a sudden you could play online, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm going to go, school some noobs." And I got my face handed to me again and again by kids whose voices hadn't even dropped yet.
No.
And I realized, okay, no, you're just good at beating these old dads. You really are nothing special here. And so like I wanted a gamer tag that would let my teammates know that I was going to be clumsy and make poor decisions. So I Dunder from Dunderhead. And Moose is just not the most. I mean, they're majestic, but sometimes you see them get caught in a kid swing set or something, or so that was the origin of the Dundermoose. So if you have a creature named that, it has to be like large and powerful, and yet also clumsy and prone to poor decisions.
We have our current main artist, I should say, for Horde Wars Advanced. It lives out in Moose Country and was super excited to see that we had one of those under the game animals that you could hunt.
Sweet.
So I think she's going to do artwork for that one. And but like today, they were like, "What is Dundermoose? It should be a monster."
Who is Dundermoose?
Yes.
How is Dundermoose?
Yeah.
What is Dundermoose? And then now the world knows Dundermoose is a monster. That's what
I'm a monster. You see that?
Well, you have my blessing.
Bob
You don't.
gave
If you
it
want
to
to create a Dunder Moose, you do not owe me any royalties. I will allow it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Have at it. That's awesome. So I have a story about like a really bad session, and this happened when I was a kid, and I think it's because the guy that I was playing with just did not get it. He did not get it about role playing games. And if he's watching this, I love you, man. Thanks for all the good times. This just wasn't one of them, and don't feel bad. We were kids. Nobody knew what we were doing. But, usually the four of us in the neighborhood would hang out. And this time it was just me and him, and he had bought a copy of Top Secret. Did you guys ever play that game?
I've heard good things.
It was if you wanted to be James Bond, right? Like it was a spy role-playing game. And so I went over to his house and we got out a character sheet and we were rolling up stuff, and it took forever to create my spy. And I had to figure out what I wanted to buy. I bought him a motorcycle. I wanted to just a small kind of like James Bond had always had a small pistol that he could conceal really easily, but he was such a crack shot it didn't matter that he only had a what was the gun that James Bond always used?
Wasn't it like a PPK?
Yes, a Walther PPK. Brian says, this is Dunder Moose. Maybe you can someday wear moose horns while streaming. Not that people make fun of my hats already, but to get the moose horns.
No, you got to get the Canadian or Russian cap, and then get a moose T-shirt on.
Well,
the Ushankas.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
anyway, this guy spent all afternoon with me rolling up my character, and then he started me off in a bar. And so I'm sitting there, I order my, fancy, cocktail, and I'm just, I'm in my suit and tie and, or, whatever, looking around the room, just trying to make my contact. And he's like, your contact doesn't show up. What do you do? And I was like, all right, well, I'll exit the bar and I'll look around outside. And so he's like, okay, you leave the bar and immediately you're struck in the back. And he starts rolling up damage. And he's like, okay, yeah, that killed you. And I'm like, what hit me? And he's like, oh, you got hit by an RPG round. And
What
I'm
the
like,
crap?
walking out of a bar, and then this dude steps into frame that just has weapons all over. And I realized this is the DM's character. And he immediately starts writing down on his sheet all of the stuff that I had bought for my character, like my motorcycle and my handgun and my secret shoe phone. And
oh no!
And I'm just like, so he just had me go through all the trouble to make a character, and then he just way overkilled me as soon as I walked out of the building, so that his guy could get a motorcycle.
That's terrible.
And I was like, I'm not playing this with you again.
How old were you when you played this?
Oh my gosh, this had to be, this had to be middle school. Maybe it wouldn't have been freshman year. I don't think it had to be 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade. I mean, I still feel like we were old enough for him to know that wasn't how it was supposed to go. But
yeah, that's definitely one of them elementary school cops and robbers. No, I shot you first.
Yeah. But to
I
be the
shot you
DM
first.
and to have your OP guy, and I don't know how many times he'd done that to his brother, that he's just walking around just a walking arsenal. But just to shoot me in the back with no warning. I'm like, well, I'm glad I got practice rolling up characters.
That's terrible. Well, I don't know why. I don't know why you would want to do that long term as a game master. I get maybe one time not knowing what might the social consequences if you're a kid.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, do you want to keep playing with this real human who's your friend in theory?
In theory.
I don't know how to make this focus. Yeah, Robert says kid was playing 4D chess. He was like, "This isn't about you, Dunder. I'm gonna beat my brother with your motorcycle later."
Hell yeah.
So I guess I'm showing her front, but I should be showing her from the rear end to see if she matches with her raven locks, her shield, her sword, and her.
Try getting closer. Let's see if this thing will focus closer in.
Ooh, let's go. There we go.
Yeah, turn her.
All right.
Now that she's kind of in.
Oh, I'm losing my grip. Okay.
Yeah, well, just turn it around and then see if we can get it to refocus.
Put her on the catwalk, dude.
I feel like it just keeps almost doing it, and then it looks at my wrinkly ape hand. Come on, lady. There we go. Yeah.
You
Oh, that looks cool.
Knuckle dragon, ape arm.
So how did you get your skins so dark? Because I know that paint tone, it's darker than it should be.
Yeah, well, I had black underneath on the shadow, so it's really not covering it very well. So, but yeah, from behind, and I'll show you the can for reference. Obviously, her horns aren't as tall, and her shield is more wooden.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that big shock of lovely black hair,
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, so now I've got my I got my red box female version of the Dragon Warrior. I'm still only part way through on my cleric, my human cleric. I'm really just working more on the chair at first, and then I've got my my sleeping bag without a tent. They just did not have a tent when I went to the store, and I did not understand that because I thought it was just obvious that there would be a tent, but there wasn't. So
why do you need a tent? Just for the scene, or
it was I'm being snarky. There was an argument a month ago on Twitter where somebody was talking about how their characters hadn't purchased a tent, but when they got in the situation where they needed one, they were like, well, of course my guys would have bought a tent. They wouldn't have gone out without one. And there was an argument about should you just allow your characters to retcon that they bought a tent if they didn't spend the gold for it and didn't prepare?
Oh yeah, I saw this, and obviously no.
No, I think you and I agree on that one.
But I do tend to remind the players when they leave town with something like, so, because their characters would know, right, in the game world. Do you have food and water and a way to not freeze to death outside?
You're better DM than I am, bro. My first time playing...
You've never had privates going out into a desert to go camp for 2 weeks and then freeze to death at night almost. Look, I'm just saying, a lot of people like to assume I never would have left without a tent. Tell that to 28-year-old David McAfee,
is what happened.
who went out and we had the cots, and he didn't pack himself pajamas. He didn't pack himself a sleeping bag. We didn't have our half racks or anything. No, it was he got out there and he's like, "Hey man, so where's the tent at?" And I'm like, "No, we're not sleeping in tents. We got cots. We got your sleeping bag, and then you can use your whoopee and your poncho to make yourself like a lean. What are these balloons?
Your Mac just give you the balloons."
Well, because my Mac is telling me preach, brother. You know what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm looking at this kid and be like, motherfucker, how long ago was it you were in basic combat training? 6 months ago. Did they not beat you to death? What are you doing out here? And then the kid was like, man, I'm thirsty. I get thirsty and I get real cotton mouth. So I like to keep my water real close. He slept on top of his camelback and it popped in the middle of the night. Hey, Wilson,
you're gonna get thirsty now, boy.
What? Wilson, hey man, you got an extra sleeping bag, man? What the fuck? What happened? I'm all wet. McAfee. What? Huh?
Oh man.
No, exactly. These things do happen, but we're assuming that the characters are competent adventurers. So I briefly remind them when they leave town, and that's it. After that, they're on their own if they choose.
Ultra American TTRPG said I had 2 characters buy horses, but not the riding kits for them. It's gonna be a long, bumpy ride.
Like Lady Godiva.
Yeah, you're gonna want to ride that side saddle or take 1d4 testicular damage.
I got testicular torsion my first day of Horde Wars.
Just to show you, Harmony. Here's what I was going for. The vibrant and empowered red box dragon warrior. So I will show you her from the same pose, although she's like more upright. With
Get it in closer though again, man. So it focuses.
Yeah, I got to get it way up there to where, and I got to get my face out of the way. Don't look at me.
I don't know. Yours
look
is
at
not
I'm a
androgynous enough. I
There
haven't
we go.
had.
There it is.
So pretty
had-
close. I mean, the horns on her
Nice.
helmet aren't as tall. Her shield is a little more wooden. But close as I can get with what I have. I didn't want to buy a bunch of boxes to hopefully, and then they're not out yet, the 50th anniversary one. And you don't know if you're going to get that the grab bag that has that rare piece in it, and it's already painted anyway when it does, right? So so that's what I'm painting, or what I feel like it's kind of done. I might need to put some brass on the helmet and then maybe do like a wash or whatever, but I feel like I'm good. Blackwall did some awesome skeletons. Patio cakes, man. I forget what that thing is called. It looks like a cross between Stranger Things and like a flower Pokemon with a skull in the mouth.
Yes,
Yeah.
it definitely reminded me of that Stranger Things thing.
I think that's what they were going for, because all of the mini crates were kind of themed, and so like you saw, I think they did this one kind of near the anniversary for Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
They did the Van Helsing one kind of like as a Halloween thing. So all of them were themed. Like I got this one too. This is clearly, this one came out right around Frozen 2 coming out.
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she looks cool too.
That's like a Bionic Commando vibe you got there, Blackwall.
Thanks.
What is this one? This one is called...
Working on that for the superhero game.
The monster is called the Rattler. And my wife's War Machine army was the Grimkin. And so she got all these really cool kind of like fairy tale monsters, like this one right here. You can't really tell because of the light, but it's a pig riding a little dude. And the whole story was like the little dude in his life was like a banker or a warmonger, you know, making his living off the backs of others. So now he's forced in perpetuity to...
He's got to carry that war pig around on his shoulders.
He's got to carry the war pig. Here's one that's not primed.
One fun thing, and since you guys both paint miniatures, maybe if it happens, maybe I can, what's the word I'm looking for here? Get you guys to get a few of them and paint them up for a little promotion. But it looks like there's a chance we may have a small run of Horde Wars miniatures.
No way.
Going out in the fall. Because I got a buddy who's basically got a bunch of STL file credits where he can make modified STLs for free, a certain number of them.
Cool.
And then I have a couple more friends who do 3D printing, and we're looking at doing maybe a dozen or so plates of miniatures for Horde Wars specifically. And I thought that we'll see if it happens. I should know in the next 2 weeks, 4 weeks, somewhere in there, as to whether or not it'll occur. But I think if we can make it happen, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, no sweat if it doesn't. But yeah, that'd be fun to do another chill stream and just do all Horde Wars.
Yeah,
all Horde Wars minis.
Blue orcs.
That's right. The blue orcs.
Blue orcs and green goblins. You got to tell them.
You know who we need to get in on that is Brown Wizard Winston. Like some of his stuff looks so good. Like, did you see those T-Rexes he did?
Oh yeah.
Look at that thing, Paddy.
That's awesome, Paddy.
That thing looks like he's about to break Superman over his knee.
Yeah, that's the Mountain King. He's really fun. I painted this one on stream. That was like one of the first big projects I did on my Rumble channel. But every time I think about Horde Wars, blue orcs, I just think about how I painted my trolls for War Machine and Hordes for years. I painted my guys with like a blue-gray tint.
Mm-hmm.
Harmony's friend CB is also a mini painter on Twitter. So I know she's taking a break for a little bit, but she might be one you want to put on your list, Blackwall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I like
Right
CB.
on.
I hope she comes back soon.
Now, I think we're about at stopping time, right?
Yeah, we're almost 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Which is I don't know why I always think I can do an hour. Man, Ryan is so focused and he's so good about it. But I get to having fun with y'all, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I just lose track of the time.
Yeah. And I got 3
So,
miniatures painted, so
yeah, let's go ahead and go around and pimp your wares. Like, what is it that you have going on? If people want more Blackwall and more Paddy, how can they support you guys? And where's the best way to follow you to get all of that Blackwall and Paddy goodness?
Ooh.
Paddy, go ahead.
So you can find me at Patio Cakes on X. You can also pick up my skirmish game Mutants for free or pay what you want over at Drive-Thru RPG. I'm waiting for Drive-Thru to ungatekeep my newest book, From the Beyond. But I will be loading that up, and all of the money I earn this month from my book sales will be going to Folds of Honor for Military Appreciation Month. So think about that. And then, if you are into miniature skirmish games that have some really cool role-playing game type elements, like this one does have a campaign play that does have like forever wounds and leveling up your guys and whatnot. Pick this up. I'll be making paper minis.
What's the name of that one again?
This one is called Mutants, a D10 skirmish game on a post-Forsaken planet. And there's my cover.
Right on.
And for me, you can follow me on Twitter, DM_Blackwall. And then our products are currently up. We've got Horde Wars Basic up on Drive-Thru RPG, and also still listed on Big Geek Emporium, but we're mostly transitioning to Drive-Thru RPG due to some side issues over at Big Geek.
Okay.
That being said, if you want physical product, you can email us, hordewars@blackwallgames.com. We have soft cover copies of Horde Wars Basic for $25 plus shipping in the US. Unless you have a goofy amount of money and want to pay for international shipping, then fair enough. But in general, US only.
Are you all out of the spiral bound? Are they perfect bound?
We are. So we've got the we've got standard soft covers. The spiral bound we're currently out of. We are thinking about doing another run of those over the summer because we've got a few conventions in the fall.
That's always because I feel like spiral bound lays flat and is fun to play with, but the perfect bound looks so much better on the shelf.
Yeah.
You got to make that call, yo.
But we've sold out of the spiral bound twice, so we know that game masters like those. So we may do another small print run of those in the summer. But we're really working hard on getting Horde Wars Advanced out. I've got probably about 30 hours of writing or so still to do, just about setting material. All the game mechanics have been done for quite some time, but really just trying to express the setting in a reader-friendly way that isn't just like shorthand for me and Nate.
Mm-hmm.
And the links, if you can put those
into I'm taking them from the private chat and popping them into the YouTube. So
perfect.
So there's Horde Wars and Mutants as well as the Twitter handle.
Thank you very much.
Hey guys, this was super fun. Thanks for coming on to the Dunder Moose chill stream, painting up some minis, just hanging out and being bros. And what do I got going on? Well, you can follow me at Dunder Moose on Twitter. If you have found this broadcast, then you know where my YouTube channel is. And look to the future. I've got a couple big things. I've got a ton of awesome guests, and I'm stressed out about how many great guests I have and getting them all in. we are going to be. I'm still on this kick with Battle Bronze teams. I just love them. I can't get enough. And I am also. I kind of hinted at this, but I'm scheming to do my own Battle Bronze team, and you might recognize some of the names that are involved with it. So more to come on that. And from all of us to all of you guys watching and painting, either now or catching it later. This is kind of a chill one. This is like just put it on and drive or do your spreadsheet or whatever. I'm glad you guys spent your time with us. If you want to encourage the people on the screen now and RealGreyMage, who's no longer with us. Well, that sounded bad.
He's alive.
He's fine. He's okay.
Still very much alive.
Give us some support. Hit the thumbs up so we know you liked it. And if you want more stuff from my froggy voice, go ahead and subscribe. And with that said, have a great night, and we will see you guys next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.